Hi, welcome to this new fresh series. We've actually got something really exciting in our Talk Time series today, and it's the beginning of talking about emotions. And so it's building that emotional mastery in your own inner potential. So we're going to cover today confidence, so building unshakable confidence. We've got Teresa Saunders. I'm Meredith McCarthy. She's going to join me in a moment and she's going to ask me some questions. We're going to discuss a couple of things and we're going to do a bit of a demo as well. So you have something to go away and practice to build your own inner confidence.
Hi, Meredith. Hi, everybody.
Hi. Welcome, Teresa, to another edition to the Talk Time. Just getting you in the frame there. There you go.
Yep.
Got to change the scenery, haven't we?
We have, yes.
Excellent.
This week.
So when we're kind of looking at confidence and what comes through my mind is someone feeling like they have the ability to do something that's really important to them. Quite often, this is the reason why a client will come in. They're presenting with a situation where they don't feel confident and they want some support or assistance. What are your thoughts on that, Teresa?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I'm sort of wondering about if we could explore the importance of confidence in people in their personal and professional life, and how, you can help people overcome those self-doubts and build self-assurance.
Well, quite often it might start off with a personal experience that they've had where they haven't felt very confident about something they've done, and it's created a really strong memory. So they have an identity issue now that they feel that they're not good at that or they can't handle that. And that could be personal or professional. So an example on a personal level, it might be confidence to speak out in your relationship with your partner. So that can be something that gets in people's way because maybe in the past they've had a relationship breakdown where communication wasn't great, and maybe they even were told that they weren't very good at talking about their feelings or so on. So they've taken that on board and it's caused them to feel helplessness, so they don't always feel like they have the ability to turn up and even have their emotions be heard properly. Right? Yeah.
Sorry.
You go.
I was going to say, so to help people understand what confidence is, why it matters and common barriers to, you must come across some common barriers as well of confidence that when people come into your office.
Well, in the workplace, confidence can be a real deal breaker if you don't have the voice, perhaps to a manager, where they might be talking to you about your performance and you don't feel like you have a voice. So that can be a real problem and you might be being railroaded somewhere. So to be able to have a clear voice and not kind of break down into tears, this is often a big worry for people in a professional environment, that they might fall apart and make a fool out of themselves, especially when it's an emotional situation that they're dealing with. There can be a problem with turning up in a meeting and actually having a voice there. So perhaps they've been asked to do a presentation on the work that they've been doing and they just don't feel like they can without having a shaky voice and going red. So people quite often are really scared of blushing or forgetting what they're going to be saying next and making a fool out of themselves. The other very common thing in the workplace is hierarchy. So many people have a bit of a fear around talking to people who have a higher ranking than them. So their boss's boss and so on, and they just feel inferior. But quite often they've been employed to have a voice in that environment, and if they can't find their professional voice, that can often become an issue for them.
Mm. I mean, I don't know about you, but I like to often, with the unpacking that, try and get to that root cause of the issue, because quite often it can stem from childhood with the simple, like message from somebody as, "Oh, why didn't you do so well?" Or "You could have done that better," and then over time that escalates and grows bigger. It's
For
quite
sure.
common, isn't it?
Yeah, it could be a teacher that wasn't particularly kind, maybe made them feel ridiculed when they didn't do something properly and got them to stand in the corner of the room, or it could have been, again, they've been brave enough to answer a question but they got it wrong, or made to feel like they didn't get it good enough. So some teachers' styles can be a bit like that. And also bullying, if they've gone through bullying in at school on any level, it can definitely destroy someone's self-confidence, self-esteem about who they are and their voice in the world.
So would there be any particular hypnotic techniques you would use for confidence?
Well, going to the root cause, regression may be useful, but quite often people can actually remember that moment. So even just having a conversation with them, hey, where do you think this began? How long have you had this? When was the first time you remember feeling this way? So instantly when you ask them a question, they're actually going into a form of self-hypnosis, because they're going back and remembering that. So it's a form of regression, but it's conversational. Now, if I have no idea, I've always felt like this, chances are that something might have happened beyond their conscious awareness that's caused them to feel really nervous in the world, and maybe promoted a social anxiety or something around talking to strangers or even talking to anyone at all. They might be quite introverted. So they kind of keep to themselves, and they might not feel that they've got the social power, the ability to communicate effectively like other people do. So they might be comparing themselves unfavorably to someone who's very extroverted and finds social situations really easy.
It's an easy thing that we actually do, I think, is compare ourselves to others, and sometimes we can be our worst enemy by putting unrealistic expectations on ourselves, or even families and peers can do that to us, or we feel as if they do that.
So I think as a hypnotherapist, it's nice for me to understand what's the story that this client has, what's the belief that they've been building and holding for such a long time, and helping them to understand that they're not that little person that they once were, or, time has moved on, and potentially that program that they had created to protect themselves may be outdated, and it's time to do an update. So getting that willingness for the client to want to change. Obviously, they've made a booking. They've made time to work on this. So there's a definite willingness there for things to change. So you're there to ask also, how do you want to be? I think that's something that people often miss in therapy. They assume that they're going to feel confident and do this, that, and the other without actually asking the client how they want to be.
And you've got to have that feeling of what they actually want, what confidence means to them, because what confidence means to me and then to you, we'd have completely different ideas, or probably, of what that would mean. Yeah.
So we might have a vague feeling of what it is, but definitely we want to take time for the client to think about what that looks like, sounds like, feels like. How would that be for them if they could go in time and it was all fixed and they were really good and the confidence was high? What would have changed? So asking questions like that can be really powerful. And even if you're out there, in the audience kind of listening and thinking, hey, I want to work on this area of my life and be a bit more confident. Ask yourself, how do you mean? Like, what do you mean by confidence? What would tell you've got it? What would be, I guess, proof that it's happened? So
and how we feel, hey?
Yeah, when we start to imagine that as if we're there, that can be quite magical to the brain, because it starts to create a bridge a bridge of understanding and a bridge of action, potentially. So you can begin to move towards that place that you want to go. Many of my clients get stuck in what they don't want.
Yeah, so often I find that a common one. You say, so what have you come here for me to do today, or for you to change? And then they'll say, well, I don't want this and I don't want that, and and it couldn't. I don't want it to be, but it's like they avoid that question of what they want because they don't always know if they are certain of what they actually want.
Exactly. So I think it's important as a therapist to really delve in a little, take a bit of time having a conversation about what is the intel that they have already for me. Like, I want to understand a bit about their world, a bit about how they react to things. How do they talk themselves through it? Do they have the awareness that they even have an inner voice talking themselves through it? Because some people don't. They just react. Okay, so talking to them about that and go, okay, well, what if you were your own inner best friend? What would your inner best friend be telling you? What words of encouragement would your inner best friend say? That can be really useful because many times our thoughts are private, right? So unless you shared your thoughts out loud, no one really knows what anyone is thinking on the inside. But just because it's private doesn't mean that we get away with saying yucky things to ourselves. So chances are, if someone's not feeling very confident about something, they've been telling themselves some not nice things. You know, they've been reinforcing it. I call it a compounding suggestion. They keep reinforcing a certain message again and again that isn't helping them. Yeah. So I think it's useful as a therapist to identify what are those key messages that aren't helping.
Yeah, so I'm sure you probably have a case study that you've actually got that you could share with us with somebody who was wanting to gain more confidence in their lives.
Well, I've got an unusual situation, and it just comes to mind now. It was a 10-year-old girl, and she came because she wasn't feeling very confident about going to sleep without feeling anxious. Now, she was not sure why she was feeling anxious, and she needed to have her mum or dad lie down until she fell asleep with her every night to be able to go to sleep successfully. And if her mum were to kind of leave her room before she was fully asleep, she would startle awake and she'd go, no, and her mum would have to stay there for another 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or who knows how long. Eventually she'd go to sleep. So she came in presenting with that, and that is a confidence issue. There's this lack of confidence she's had in her own ability to self-soothe, in her own ability to calm herself. So she's relying externally for that. Now, when I started to talk to her about doing a dress rehearsal, I said, what would happen if you were to go to sleep and you had a really nice time just feeling calm and relaxed and you went to sleep really well tonight? What would that be like? And she immediately answered in a very interesting way. She said, oh no, I wouldn't find that easy. I'd find that really hard. And I said, but hang on, it hasn't happened yet. You're telling me about something that you think will happen again because that's what's happened in the past. And I said, but the thing is, the future hasn't happened. So what if it was different? What would that be like? And she said, oh no, I know it wouldn't be very easy. And I said, how do you know? You're not there yet. So she was really stuck in that negative belief. So we need to work on that. And the nice thing is, at the end of it, we did the hypnosis and she really had fun, and we created this wonderful little, kind of like a mind palace, but it was her happy room. And in her room, we got her brainstorming about things she wanted in there that would make her feel happy. Believe it or not, there were McDonald's nuggets, chicken nuggets there in this room. And there were flowers, lavender and roses. And there was water and things that she could do and play with water. There were her mum and dad in the room. And there was Teddy, And I said, well, what's Teddy called? Teddy. So it was a teddy bear called Teddy, and that was a very special teddy. So we gathered some things that for her and her mind was special. And for me as a hypnotherapist, I guided her into her special zone. But we had a magic paintbrush. And with the magic paintbrush, you could paint all sorts of neat things. And we were able to create this beautiful space where there was these huge bubbles that she could create that would be balancing on the water, and she could bounce on the bubbles. And there was another big bubble that she could paint, and she could float inside of it and drift over the lavender fields. And then there was another number of different places and spaces where she got to experience all her happy things. And when I'm doing one that's enhancing sleep and the confidence to go to sleep, because believe me, it is a confidence issue. It's the confidence in your ability to be able to go to sleep and stay asleep. So many adults, many children have this issue. Strangely, once a child usually goes to sleep, they're pretty good. They tend to stay asleep, but some children not. They'll wake up often and frequently and still need support. So every situation is different. Luckily for this girl, she was able to go to sleep, and even if she were to wake up in the middle of the night, she could go back to sleep easily. So that was really useful. But her sister apparently was the opposite. She could go to sleep easily, but she would wake up often and frequently during the night and needs support. So wasn't that fascinating? And they shared a room. So I thought, okay. So there was a couple of layers that I'm listening to as this 10-year-old's telling me the story. So we did the sleep hypnosis, and it created a really lovely, happy place, because she said something very useful. She said, once I stop thinking about the idea that I can't sleep, I usually can sleep. But I just have to forget about that idea, and then sleep happens. I said, oh, well, that's great. We can really use that. So if we were to create this beautiful imaginary space, that would quickly and easily help you to forget about going to sleep, and you could just think about your beautiful space, and sleep will come. So that was my suggestion that I laid into this hypnotic journey for her. So that was fun. I really enjoyed that.
Yep. So at the beginning of the session, you actually said that you had an interactive exercise for the viewers today that you were going to share.
Well, first of all, I think it's important with any self-hypnosis to be able to relax first. So we relax our physical self, we relax our emotional self, and then we can go to a place in our mind that is connected to perhaps a memory of a time where you felt confident, or we could imagine ourselves in the future.
Excuse me, sorry.
That's okay. We can imagine ourselves in the future feeling confident in some way. So we're going to play around with that imagination exercise. So if you are driving or doing anything that needs your full attention, please, this is probably not the exercise to be listening to right now. But if you can take time to just slow down and follow this instruction, then please do. It's not going to be something that is tricky. It's something that anyone can do. There are going to be some people who aren't very good at visualizing. So an aphantasia client would not be able to visualize a scene in their mind, but that's okay. It doesn't have to stop you, because you can think about a time where you felt confident. You don't have to visually see it. Okay, so a lot of times people think you have to be able to see it to be able to really connect to it, but no, you just have to feel that feeling, or think about the internal thought that you had at the time. You know, what were you saying to yourself? What else was going on? How were you acting? So you can actually definitely bring to your mind strong emotions, but not always having to use your visual sense, okay? So for those that want to follow, you can just watch if you want. You don't have to follow, and if you just want to observe what we're doing, that's fine too. Are you going to go on this trip too, Teresa?
I can do, yes.
Okay, so just allow yourselves to be comfortable. Take a nice deep breath in. And on the exhalation, I invite you to close your eyes or just softly focus them in front of you. And you might find that as you blink and allow yourself to close your eyes when you feel like it, it just helps you to focus inward on the breath a little bit more. Just feeling the breath moving in and out through your nostrils. And as you breathe gently in, feeling the coolness of the inhalation, and as you release the breath, feeling how warm the breath is. And as you breathe gently in, allow the exhalation to be a little longer, a little slower, taking time to release the breath. With each exhalation, giving yourself permission to relax more and more, deeper and deeper, allowing you to go into natural hypnosis, where the daydreamer can just be switched on, where you can just drift to a wonderful, pleasant time, maybe in the past where you felt confident, a time that stands out for you, a time that was really great, that filled you with these wonderful feelings that confidence feels like. For some of you, it might be a feeling of happiness, contentment, calmness, maybe even excitement. But think about what confidence feels like for you as you go back to a time that stands out, that is a wonderful and perfect example of you having that moment to feel confident. And once you've got that, I want you to imagine as if you were there all over again, feeling what that felt like, perhaps seeing what you saw, hearing what you heard. And just allow yourself to just increase that feeling of confidence as if it was a dial. You could turn it up. You could make it bigger, brighter, bolder. Almost as if it's like an energy buzzing all throughout your body. An energy like a light bulb just shining out into the world, radiating confidence. And imagine in your mind what would it be like if you could float through time and space into the future. And you could float and you could see a future version of you about to do something that you would like to feel more confident in. But imagine you have superpowers and you could whisper encouraging thoughts through time and space to that future version of you. And the feeling of confidence that you're radiating can shine upon your future self. Radiating confidence, clarity, calmness, excitement, whatever it means for you. And imagine your future self feeling that feeling of confidence as you're about to go into that situation that you would like to feel more confident. And imagine you could ride that beautiful and wonderful, confident and incredible version of the future as if it was a movie. You could see your future self going through that situation, radiating confidence, feeling calm, relaxed, maybe excited, whatever those feelings are. Perhaps there's this inner strength, whatever it is for you, because you know the words that make sense to you. You know what that means to feel confident in that space. Once you see yourself achieving that in the most confident way, imagine now you could float down into your future self You could float down and you could just experience that future moment as if you were there, feeling that confidence, feeling how it's been turned up, how clear your mind is, your energy is, to radiate that wonderful confidence in that situation that is in a really good way for you. And once you've done that, imagine you could take that wonderful inspirational experience and you could float out of your future self and you could float back through time and space, bringing that understanding back into your body, into the here and now. You could feel that wonderful confidence in this moment right now as you sit here listening to my voice, in this absolute moment, just feeling that confidence radiating out through every fiber of your being. And very soon, I'm going to count from 1 to 3. And on the count of 3, it'll be time to open your eyes again. Coming back to full awakeness and awareness into the here and now. Feeling calm and confident, allowing that confidence to continue to build upon itself as the day rolls by. Feeling that confidence getting stronger and stronger. 1, becoming aware of your feet, becoming aware of your legs, your upper body, your arms, your hands, your fingers. 2, aware of this time, this space, your head, your neck and shoulders. And 3, eyes open, wide awake, back into the here and now. Great. So that was a little example of, I guess, using inner resources from something that you've experienced in the past and allowing those inner resources to be supporting your future version of you and anchoring that into your body and switching that on so you can bring it into the here and now and use it from here on. So how did you find that, Teresa?
I found that very relaxing and also sort of energizing and inspiring, to be honest, being able to visualize how I want that confidence to build, moving myself or projecting myself in the future, and then actually coming back to myself with that. Yeah.
I'm going to qualify a couple of things. Obviously, when you go to a hypnotherapist, the hypnotherapist, many of them believe that they don't have to really know too much about the person. And that's kind of true and kind of not true. I believe that in a therapeutic space, part of the trust and rapport that's built is through a level of understanding of who's sitting in front of me. Now, if I don't actually ask and want to know about this client that's sitting in front of me, the client may not trust me to hold that space for them, to do the work that they might need to be doing. So I find it useful for the client to be able to share a little bit about their history and a little bit about what it is that's really important to them. I can use their intel and I can use their language and I can mirror it back to them. Obviously, this demonstration was very generic. So I'm giving you a lot of scope about, it might be strength, it might be this, it might be that. But you see, when I'm talking to a client, I'm actually going, what are their words for confidence? And I'm going to reutilize their words back to them. It's very comforting and it's very supportive to be able to do that as a therapist. What are your thoughts on that, Teresa?
Exactly. I mean, because it's tailored for you. I work exactly the same way. Every session will be slightly different because it's tailored to that client. It could be very different. It could be quite similar, but I think the other thing to sort of understand is that you may get a little bit out of a generic hypnotherapy session, or you may get a lot out of it just because was set up for the way that you were thinking at that time. But if you don't get anything out of it and you were still wanting to explore hypnotherapy and you like that idea, please do book in with a recognised hypnotherapist, clinical hypnotherapist, because your experience could be totally different because it will be tailored to your requirements.
For example, if you were my client, I would be asking you about what comes up for you every time you feel challenged around that confidence. And I want to know a little bit more about what's the belief that we may need to really reinforce. So there could be core words that I'm utilizing then to reinforce within that hypnotic journey. These are key things that a hypnotherapist does. Excuse me, now it's my turn to lose my voice. Excuse me.
Beautiful Wellington weather, summer one minute and winter the next at the moment.
So lots of pollen and bits and pieces out too. I was looking at my car today and it's got that haze on it.
Yes.
So when we're looking at that idea of a personalized hypnotherapy journey, definitely another level from something that's generic that, it may or may not be effective. There's nothing wrong with trying on hypnosis and listening to hypnotic scripts and things, but I think nothing replaces an actual personal session that is just about you.
Definitely. Yep. Scripts and that are great at the beginning for you to practice that language and style, but I really would encourage people to move out of that as they build their confidence and go into a more tailored, personalized approach.
Absolutely. So now we're coming to the end of this particular talk time. So I hope you have all enjoyed our journey today. This is a series, so we're going to be delving more and more into the emotional stuff. So next time we're going to be looking at cultivating resilience in the face of challenges. So that's going to be our talk time topic for next week. So tune in, and please remember to, do you want to do the speed?
The like, share, and a subscribe button down below. And if you have any comments or feedback for us, please do comment, share with us, get in touch if you want to. All the details are in the tab below. And remember, have a look at Meredith's website for the school. I will let Meredith give that to you. And subscribe. Have a look. Take that step.
www.nzach.ac.nz, so you can visit us there. Look, thank you very much, Teresa, again for being helpful on this series, because it's nice to be able to turn up and have a chat with someone rather than me sitting in front of the screen. I think it's a little bit more dynamic, so I hope people enjoy that too. But we have lots of things that we're going to start to talk about as we unpack the emotional series. So look, all the best, everyone, and hope you have a fantastic day, and see you next week. Thank you, Teresa. Bye.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure. Catch you all next week. Bye.